Okay, so 2 patches have passed since the last time I have made a tier list. The reason behind me not doing one the last patch was because I pretty much just put out another tier list at that time. So I was like, okay, you know what? It's off season anyways. I know they're doing at least one more. So let's wait and see what happens. And turns out they didn't really tune too much. But at the end of the day, here I am putting out the first tier list of 2024. Before we start, I want to make a few things known. Of course, these are all my opinions, so do take them with a grain of salt. I also changed how I kind of do the tier list a little bit. I figured, you know what, let's mix it up. So when we get to certain parts or certain sections, I'll probably explain them a little bit more. But until that happens, we can just go on and get into it. But first, starting with 2v2s, we have the dedicated player section. Now, this is Qatar's Greatsword Scythe. Nothing new, right? You watch any of my other tier lists, they're here for obvious reasons. Then instantly, there's a jump up into S+. Now, I know I didn't give the dedicated player an actual, ranking, but that should just tell you how good everything is if you are good with it as well. But of course, there is that jump blasters, hammer. They are very, very good, and depending on who you're playing, they might be a little bit better, but of course, I'm trying not to look at specific legends. You jump up one higher straight into SS, and then you have bow, sword, orb, and lance. I think all of these are fantastic. People have just gotten so good at 2s that it's very easy to make anything work, or certain weapons like bow, which I've had people say in the past, it's not necessarily that good. It looks incredible now. Now we have the top 4 in order. Starting at 4th, we have gauntlets, boots, spear, and axe. Now with these, I think gauntlets are extremely good. Double gauntlets are still super strong, but they take a long time to start the combos, and each individual move can last a long time. And you're not necessarily going to be finding a ton of reads. If you're playing double gauntlets again, you're going to be working together, and that's great, but the individual damage, like single hit stuff, takes a long time for not always the greatest reward. If you find a bit of a flow with them, they're insane though. Kind of similar thing with boots. They can take a long time on individual attacks, but boots, I think, even have crazier combo potential. You just see them not often, and when you do, they're by very practiced teams like Megdi Radish, West, Vem 10 Kilo are great examples. Spear, I think it's very easy to keep people off of you and also just find combos, single hits. It's super easy to cover your teammate with Sares, Dares. Yeah, Spear can kind of do it all, but of course, I did put Axe ahead of it because I think the single hits of Axe are super strong. They're not necessarily super slow. The combos do a lot of damage, and they can set up into a lot of stuff. And you don't even need to use SIGs with Axe. Something like Spear, I find a lot of the times I'm relying on a signature to kill, but on Axe, I could just do a recovery, ground pound, Sare even, and that's plenty to get the kill combo. Then finally, one last weapon, the MVP of the patch, okay? Cannon. I think Cannon is crazy. I think it's almost like an upgraded Lance. It has good combos, it has good single hit moves. It's hard to punish even just the single hit moves and the combos sometimes. And if you get caught in a string, your teammate's going to have a really hard time helping you because you're just going to be carried totally away from them. The hitboxes are also pretty big for it. It just kind of has it all. And I think the best way for me to describe it, this might be, not the best representation, but it's subjective. So this is how I see it. It's like Lance and Gauntlets kind of combined. Now, when it comes to 2v2 legends, all right, bottom category, they aren't bad necessarily, and I have seen certain people play them, but I just kind of put them as but why, Ember, Lucian even, Moonin, Mako. Why would you really be playing them? Now, Guichabu is someone who is crazy good at Lin Fei, and so you see him playing that character, but at the same time, he's the only example I could ever give. If someone's really wanting to play Katars and 2s, normally they're not playing Lin Fei, right? They're going to be playing something like Ragnar, they're going to play a Suri, Queen Nai even. There's just other picks they can do. Then in the S category, there's not too many legends here, but I felt like I should just kind of throw them here because I didn't want to put them in the but why, but at the same time, I didn't necessarily want to bump them up. I said in 2v2s a while ago that Loki was crazy good. I think he still is good. I think it was just the fact that he was a bit of a new legend. Also, Thea, the boots and lance. I like this character to for fun in 2s, but still low defense doesn't make that much sense. There's better lance picks. Magyar, the high defense is pretty much the only reason why they're even in S. And then Fate, the signatures are great. Mordex is Mordex. S plus, same thing as S, I would just say maybe slightly better. There's certain things that stand out, but still, they have like very minor flaws. As you can tell, everything is so closely rated that it's kind of hard to even say that any of these legends are like truly bad. Then in SS though, these are legends where they're not maybe meta, but you're gonna be able to see them from time to time in tournament, or they do have dedicated people that are always on them because yeah, they're good and also it's their main. So characters like Jala, you know, Pugsy, Java, and then you have Barraza, which kind of has played, but of course Cody has been on this character forever. Val, myself, Santi, Simba in the past. I'm trying to think of like current Val players. Lampy. There's people who are going to gravitate towards Val for sure. 7, I do want to mention 7 because I didn't put it in the meta because we haven't even had a tournament where 7's legal. So I don't know if this character really is. But I do think 7's super solid. The stats are crazy good. And also the spear cannon combo definitely sets this character up to fit into the meta probably. But I'm still not totally sold on the signatures. I think that like Cannon D-Sig is incredible. And I think all the canon ones are maybe a little more spammy than what I initially thought. So that's like kind of a plus for the legend. The spear's insane though. So the SIGs might not even matter. But these next legends are what I would call the meta for 2v2s. I feel like in 2s, it's very easy to distinguish the meta, especially when you split it up between the 3 major regions. So legends that I have for Europe, North America, and South America are Brynn, Ulgrim, Kaya, Rayman, Wushang, Tezka, Onyx, and Zariel. Not in any particular order, but of course in North America, a big comp that you have seen is Onyx and Zariel, right? Then you have another comp in North America that I would say is seen is like Tezka and Wushang, Cutie and Godly, because I do want to take this into account, you know, even though they only teamed for 1 tournament. A comp that was crazy good, and I wouldn't be shocked to see again from certain teams, is like a Wushang Rayman. I think that's a crazy, crazy good double Gaunts comp. Then, you know, obviously in South America, Kaya has been a big pick for Lores. Akno in 2v2s is another person who's just been hardcore on the Kaya. Europe as a whole is on Ulgrim, and even South America has a few Ulgrims. And then Brynn, I don't know how many Brynns there are. I know Blaze, of course, has a Brynn, but I'm trying not to just use him as the only example. Kresu is someone else who I know has played Brynn. I feel like there's some people in South America, and I know there has been some people in North America as well, but I do think Brynn overall is played a lot, but maybe the people you see placing aren't like playing it as much, but it's still there. I still think Brynn is definitely somehow fitting into the meta. Moving on to 1v1s, overall the weapons are unordered unless specified otherwise, and of course it's all very close. So if you're like, dude, this doesn't even make sense why you have this in S- and this in S+. It's S- and S+. They're like both insane. What do you want me to do about it? Starting in S- though, I put Blasters and Lance. Like, I don't know what to say that's like super bad about them. I guess both of them have certain dead zones that maybe weapons can punish, or you have to like commit in certain areas that might feel bad if someone knows how to work around it. That's really all I have regarding to that. I don't even think they're bad. That's why they're S-. Then moving on into S, Gauntlets, Cannon, Hammer. You know, you can pick the right legend and it's going to feel better. But overall, I think that the things that are better are probably just going to have a relatively good matchup into them. End of the day, you're good at it, it will succeed. S+ is the most stacked category. I want to mention Spear. Spear is one that I think is really, really good, but because of that change where you can't hit like a side light, gravity cancel D-light in some cases off stage, that definitely feels bad to not have that sort of punish there, because there's a common scenario where that happens, right? You hit someone when you're on edge, you're not going to get the lineup anymore, and that does kind of blow because you're missing out on free damage, or possibly a kill even. Bow, Scythe, and Axe were all contenders for my top 3, but it didn't feel totally right to put them in there. Scythe in particular, I did want to put in top 3, but you know what? I figured let's mix it up, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about the top 3. So in top 3, starting with 3rd, I have Orb. Great damage, great strings, it's been getting buffed for some reason, and that feels wrong because why? It had great combo game, it had great string game. Why are we giving it even better killing power, and why are we giving it more like true combo game? Doesn't really make much sense to me. I'm not saying it was like the difference maker for this weapon to like soar through the roof, but it already was super good. So like, why are we doing this? Just because you want people to play it? It feels kind of weird to do that. And second, I have Greatsword. Man, I think Hughes was super talented with Greatsword, and I think at the end of the day, Greatsword is a very finicky weapon to kind of learn and master. But the poke game of it is crazy. The aerials are still super good, even though Sarah in particular got nerfed. You get in a flow with this thing, it feels so wild. Like, you have so many options that you can do, and the more knowledge you have with this weapon, the more impossible it will feel for your opponent to fight. Because, like, it's the only weapon in the game that has these like bridges and finishers, and you can go from an opener to a finisher. There's so many paths you can take. You could do sidelight opener into recovery. You could do sidelight opener into dash reverse end light. Like, there's so many things. Maybe I didn't give the best examples there, but I think you know what I'm getting at. Here's a weapon though that I think has gone maybe under the radar a little bit, but is so like obvious with what you do with the weapon, and I do think it is just easier to play than Greatsword. I was talking about how many options you have with Greatsword, right? That's not a bad thing, but Katars have, like, I don't know, you just hit them D-light there, sidelight, end light. Like, it's obvious what you kind of do with them, and if you have that mastered, it's so annoying to deal with this weapon. It's so fast. The string game is very simple. It can be one read and you're pushed off stage, and you know, you get caught by a Sarah ender. Okay, you're cooked, dude. Like, your stock's over. It can feel great to play this weapon with a lot of momentum. It can feel very safe to play it defensively as well, which is something I think Orb does good as well. And Greatsword, I don't think it necessarily always has like the best defense. Maybe that's a hot take, because right, like the poke game you're doing, like you don't have any guaranteed combo when you're doing like a sidelight opener versus Orb, or specifically Katars. You hit a sidelight and you're leading into a D-light, you're leading into an end light, and then you're putting your opponent in a pretty big disadvantage state off of the guaranteed 2 hits. All right, so I mixed up how I did the 1v1s as well. Of course, 1v1s are unordered. There is no top 10 this time, but we'll get to the Legends to Try thing, and I'll kind of explain that. But starting at the bottom, A+, I consulted Luna about some of the tier list stuff, so if you guys hate this take, hey, it's his take at the end of the day, dude. I was just like, you know what, sure, why not? I put Isaiah in A+, the worst tier. In 2v2s, Isaiah was a little bit higher, but I think that's because I find Cannon to be so good. It was my MVP in 2s, right? And blasters also are good. And the SIGs aren't even bad. It's just, I find him with the pairing of weapons for 1s, it does seem a little bit underwhelming. It's not like his stat line really makes up for it either. Again, the SIGs are solid, so the fact that he's A+, hopefully that kind of reflects it. That's not bad at all. There's someone like Adam Cool who has a bunch of cool tech with this character, no pun intended. He makes Isaiah look crazy, and it's so annoying to fight his Isaiah in a good way. But yeah, Isaiah, I would say kind of bottom of the barrel right now. If you're going to be playing him, you have to absolutely love the character. Moving up ever so slightly, I put Nash, Roland, and Scarlet. You know, Roland got the high defense. Nash has some crazy good SIGs, and also same thing with Scarlet, crazy good SIGs. They just, to me, feel like, I don't want to say outdated characters. Roland's signature kit definitely feels kind of outdated, and really Nash's too. I mean, it's like as simple as you could possibly get, but it does hit hard, and same with Scarlet. So I do have to like bump them up a little bit versus Isaiah, I would say. In S, I'm not really going to talk about why these characters are here. Yeah, I mean, they're all solid, right? S stands for solid, in this tier list at least. I think they all have good qualities. I think, though, that maybe they don't have the most meta of weapons, or there's something where I feel like against most of the cast they could get exposed. You know, you could play Reno and you could do super good with him, but I'm not going to act like Reno has the best blasters or has like a super hard-hitting signature kit or anything, or his stats even. I'm not going to act like they're too crazy either. Which, I'll say this too, there's going to be characters where I'm talking about the stat line as a negative thing. Really, stats, especially with how they changed the dash landing stuff, speed in particular doesn't really matter much, so don't think about it too much. In S+, I have, I think a few more greatsword characters like bumped up compared to last time. Arcadia in particular, I don't know where I had her before, but Arcadia, Magyar, Lucian because of Katars, Ember because of Katars. If you see a Katara character here that maybe I had lower in previous patch, it's because I think Katars are just so good. Even Cassidy, I think Cassidy is scary when it comes to the signatures. Slow speed, who cares? The signatures on hammer alone, if you're a hammer freak, dude, it's gonna feel so good to play this character. Up to SS, where I find it to be pretty much the cream of the crop, and legends that you're gonna see, and it's like, yeah, they're obviously really good. These are like go-to picks right now, I would say. Caspian, absolutely nuclear with the signature kit. Katars, Loki, newer legend, and also Katars and Scythe. Zol, meathead. Taros, meathead. Tezka, meathead, and boots, and gauntlet signatures that are still, I think, probably overtuned. Petra, I think, would be a cool pick. Ragnar, same thing, cool pick. Lin Fei as well, even though the stat line's like making her seem pretty weak. I think she flows incredibly well on both Katars and Cannon. Kaya, we've seen a lot of Kaya. Orion, you don't see it too much now, but I do think there's a lot of Orion players or people who main Orion who still could be doing a lot of damage with them. And Koji, this is where, when I was talking about stats earlier, people, I think, look at Koji and they're like, why would I play him? I could play something like Kaya. His stats are perfect for his weapons, and his signatures are also very good. They're pretty straightforward, but they get the job done. And that 7 dex on both bow and sword is extremely strong. It's just we don't have anyone representing on Koji right now. Everyone's focused on other things, which is fine. I get there's, 61 legends right now? So you can't expect people to always play what you think is super strong. Then in Legends to Try, this is one of the new categories that I added. These are characters where I think they would basically be SS, but also you don't see them that much, and it's almost like, Legends to Try, Legends to Look Out For. That's kind of what I was going for with this. So we have Dusk, Seven, Fate, Moonin, Thor, Volkov, Red Raptor, Yumiko, Mirage, and Jaeon. I think right now is a great time to try any of these characters. Seven's the easiest to explain because it's just a new legend, but Red Raptor, Radish used to be playing a lot more Tezka, even in 2s. I know this is 1s, but now Red Raptor has been getting a lot more attention, so I'm curious to see who all is going to be playing them. Volkov, there's never been a better time to pick up this character because I think if people do pick him up in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some level of nerfing because the character is actually ridiculous when it comes to the sig kit. Yumiko, a more unique legend that is also getting more attention. Little Flower, Kaina even has been playing this character some. It's just, there's so many cool things on Hammer that you can do with this character, so I'm kind of excited to see who is going to be picking this up. Thor's been out of it for a little bit, but given the state of Orb, I don't think he's necessarily a bad pick. I've even had Java say before that, Orb is just a better sword. Maybe I'm misquoting. I'm pretty sure he said that, but he is someone who's played, a lot of Bodvar, and I've seen him rocking the Thor. I'll take his opinion with a grain of salt because I do think sword is insane, of course, but that string game that you get, as well as the consistent combos and the stat line being as nice as it is, how can you go wrong with Thor? He's also just cool, dude. He's Thor. The last 2 I'll talk about are Dusk. Simply, Dusk has extremely broken signatures. Orb and Spear are, string game. You're going to get super high damage on the strings alone. They both have solid combos on it as well. The single hit move's great. But the SIGs are overpowered beyond belief, dude. You always have an equalizer in something like Orb Side Sig, especially, because you can get a little bit of charge and kill on, the smaller maps at, 90 to 100, I'm pretty sure, off the side. And then there's Moonin. I've seen Impala mess with this character a lot, and I do think a good bow player will make this character look insanely nice. I've never been a fan of the signatures, but you can do, D-Light End Sig if they have no dodge. Great. The side sig on bow is kind of hard to punish, and I also think it covers a lot of good ground. And then D-Sig is a great, get off me tool. And then you have Scythe as a backup. I'm not going to sit here and say the Scythe signatures are incredible by any means, but I do think in particular, the Scythe End Sig is one that is actually pretty good. Those are my tier list, though, guys, before Winters. If these do seem whack, understand that it was actually extremely hard to kind of do it, given there hasn't been any tournaments, right? And also, admittedly, I've been kind of on a break a little bit. But I think you can kind of agree that everything, at least in 1v1s, is pretty close together. As far as where I have someone like Isaiah, maybe you just disagree, but let me know in the comments. Of course, be respectful of everyone's opinion, right? And I'm interested in seeing what you have to say. So, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Peace out.